Thank you, Pooja, and thank you to NASSCOM for giving me this opportunity to host this panel discussion on a subject which I know is of great interest to everyone in the industry today. And we have a fantastic panel with extensive global and Indian experience on all aspects of sales and marketing to share insights and ideas on this subject of selling in turbulent times. And with that, it's my privilege to introduce our panelists for today. So I'll start with Anindya Chaudhuri, more popularly known as Andy. And he has over 22 years of global experience in enabling corporations to adopt technology to transform business and operations. Born and brought up in Bangalore, Andy has lived and worked across multiple geographies. And some of these are ANZ, Singapore, US, and currently he's based in Frankfurt, Germany. So he is a senior partner with IBM Consulting and responsible for business transformation services for EMEA. Prior to IBM, Andy has spent a decade with TCS and Wipro each, and been responsible for go-to-market strategy, M&As, as well as partnerships. So welcome, Andy.
Thank you.
Our next panelist is also very illustrious career, Samir Joshi, and a personal friend. So Samir is part of the manufacturing vertical leadership team at NTT Data, driving global strategy and industry solutions. His key focus areas are to enable customers to achieve their business outcomes by leveraging digital transformation and the most relevant technologies. In his professional career spanning over 22 years, Samir has worked in various P&L leadership roles in global strategy, sales and marketing, business process consulting across diverse industry sectors. He has won accolades at large IT and digital consulting organizations for contributing 2 times 2x to 5x revenue growth, and has a forte in opening up new geographies globally. Welcome, Samir.
Thanks, Suhasini.
And our third speaker is a well-known entrepreneur, author and guru, Amit Agarwal. He's the author of 2 books, The Ultimate Sales Accelerator and Small is Big. He has professional selling experience in 23 countries across bootstrapped as well as Series A, B, C, and D startups. Amit has coined the term salespreneur and created a sales strategy called use case selling. So I welcome all our panelists. Welcome, Amit.
Thank you, Suhasini.
And with that, I'll ask you all to think about give us your ideas on the first question, which is we are discussing sales in turbulent times. So my first question is, we've all witnessed the pandemic and its good and bad fallout and the accelerated transition to digital in many sectors. So I'd like to ask the panelists that what, according to each one of you, has been the most significant changes in the business environment? And I'll start, I think, by asking Andy to go first on this question.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Suhasini, and great to be part of this great panel. But let me start off by saying that I think the most important realization that many of us have had is that our customers are also going through turbulent times. Many organizations that we work with are trying to reinvent themselves, are trying to do their best to reach their customers, to be able to sell and service them. So we must keep it in mind that it's not just us, but our customers as well. And therefore, I think a lot of the organizations have become a lot more bolder in terms of asking questions around status quo and are charting out transformation and innovation agendas across their value stream. And principally because they don't want to get caught off guard when the next cycle of turbulence comes in. In that context, I think one of the big value drivers that we're seeing is speed and velocity of outcome, right? This has become paramount in many organizations. And when we talk to CXOs or boardrooms, they're talking about outcomes in weeks and months and not months and years anymore. Long gone are those days where you have big, large, multiple years of transformations and things of that sort, right? They want to, the velocity of outcome has become very important in the conversations. And I think the last, I would say, is the virtualization of work has given organizations greater access to talent globally. But the reality is to keep that talent, a lot of the organizations and companies need to foster cultures that place value on people across the board, even in our customers, even in our organizations. So to be truly successful in helping somebody transform as well as transform ourselves, it has to be accompanied with cultural transformation as well.
Thanks so much, Andy. Thank you. Samir, your thoughts?
Yeah, so clearly, Anindya brought in a very interesting point in terms of how the organizations or customers are seeking not those months or years kind of time frame to, transform their whole business outcome, but it's now transforming in a very different way. So being agile, being, speed is the name of the game. That said, it's a combination of, I would say, the current business environment is a mix, right? Customers are facing challenges. It's a lot of agony. At the same time, if you see on the other side, there's a lot of joy, delight. I mean, look at the Indian IT industry. We'll be exporting, more software and services this year than Saudi Arabia would be actually exporting oil. So that's a great stage to be in, which means, yes, the accelerations are happening. What can really, bring about, I think some of the aspects that we are seeing increasingly with our customers is also, and again, I'm talking mix of both situations, not to really create a completely rosy picture, but the mix of NDI is, increasing. When I say NDI, the no decision incorporations, right? That has gone high. People had planned some investments, the digital transformation, they're putting that on hold. And actually the key lies in now finding out those areas or those challenges where we as a partner can come in and actually bring in a transformation at the speed which is desired. So that's the second part of the thing. The third is, India as a geography, I would continue to admire, though I've been responsible for global geographies, Europe, North America, APAC, but India is now bringing in a huge lot of opportunities. I mean, last 5 years, the FDIs that are happening out of India are more than that's happened, in the last many decades. So that's again a good news, from the business environment standpoint, Suhasini.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. And I'd like to invite Amit to share his thoughts on the same.
Suhasini and the team here, as well as the audience, for me, these current turbulent times have actually challenged, you can call it a habit or a belief of business setup. So what is a habit or belief? To me, it was that work can be done only by coming to office. So, I have been in sales and I have been going to office 2 to 3 days or sometimes 1 day a week from 2010, and everything has been fine. Sales, everybody accepts. However, for other functions, it was not, and it required turbulent times to help us embrace this, and now you can see the growth is being driven from people are, working from wherever. In this call itself, we are joining from multiple cities. So now this also has one connotation. So the connotation is what? Typically, if you take 2 hours of commute time for an employee, on an average, if you take, that means in a month, we are spending around 40 hours, commuting, which is 5 working days. Out of 22 working days, 5 working days are spent in commuting. In a year, it is almost 60 working days is spent. Now, of course, I like Buddha's middle path, which is, Ati leads to Durgati, for anything. So I have followed the same. I go 2 to 3 days to office, and hopefully organizations will figure it out that to save time as well as drive growth, can a middle path be chosen of balancing working from home as well as going to office. So that is for me a biggest change across functions.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. Yeah, those were some very interesting insights. And it's very clear that the world has changed and probably things will never go back to exactly the way they were. So given this, completely new scenario, I think what our audience would love to know is what are some of the sales strategies and tactics and practices that are working best in these turbulent times? I'll invite this time Samir to go first.
Yeah, I think very interesting question, Suhasini. So, clearly 3-4 areas which are defining the best of the sales strategies. And again, it's again not one size fits all. So we have to be cognizant of the fact, but I'll share experience, right? So one of the cases where we were actually pursuing, where normally we would have gone for meetings, as Amit rightly brought out, do all those travel and all. But during the whole sales cycle, we are able to bring in the right set of SMEs and the right set of delivery stakeholders, working with the customer, jointly bringing up the whole lot of challenges that they might be facing, which in normal sales cycle might have taken a much longer time. Folks are not available, stakeholders are on business travel, etc. But that's one aspect, right? So I would say Innovate's a good news. While we are limited, I'm all raring to go out and take those flights. But here's the time when I can actually engage the right stakeholders, both from customer standpoint as well as our organization standpoint. So that's one. Second part is, what we are also looking at is how to, and this probably might work in turbulent times, is understanding the customer persona very well. So, a huge amount of research is what we are doing for every pursuit. Now, every function will have its own set of KPIs. And what are those KPIs? For example, CIO, CTO is struggling with, can I make those investments into new technology adoption, having my existing landscape also into consideration? So, without much of disruption, without much of cost with the given budget. CFO is struggling with, maintaining the cost at the same time, enabling the organization remaining happy. And the chief revenue officer or the chief marketing officer, they have the challenge of building additional revenue streams. So understanding their persona, bringing in a very, very specific set of, I would say, solution offering is what is working well for us. And that said, at the end of the day, it's about bringing in collaboration. So companies have realized if I have to fix certain business problems, I need to network. I need to bring in a set of alliances, set of partnerships. That's driving it massively. The acceleration is much more than what we used to see earlier. Partnerships are very agile. I think one of my colleagues had said earlier, it has to be very agile. So now, what used to build over a period of time is sort of coming in very fast. That's one aspect. I think one more aspect which worked well for us, interestingly, and this is more, I would say, transactional, but it does work, is the building the trust at every level of the pursuit. So in some of the pursuit, what we are doing is we are creating a virtual delivery team, which basically goes to reinforce the fact that, hey, customer, while we understand your challenge, this is going to be our team, and you are seeing them through the journey. And that is helping to reinforce the trust. And I think that's important in today's world where customer is uncertain. They don't know what will happen while automation is there, but people do make a difference, right? So we all see the cultural aspect playing a big role. I'm sure, all of us agree that, and I've seen that, whether it was in Nordics geography entry, whether it was Asia Pacific in Singapore, Malaysia, or was it in US, always alignment to the respective culture has played a significant role. So I can't emphasize that, even more than that. Some of the thoughts.
Sure. Samir, thanks. You highlighted that there are both challenges as well as, certain interesting opportunities which have come out. And so I would like to ask, Amit to share what he are some of the sales strategies and tactics that are working in this scenario.
So, Suhasini, for me, sales or in life also, there are two aspects, EQ and IQ. So I will give one example in both. So in EQ, which is emotional quotient, if you look, because of these turbulent times, you meet any salesperson. I have seen people who are very strong, monk-like, and they will snap. They've started snapping. I remember talking to one of the Sonar during the beginning of these turbulent times, and the person told me, I don't have a job. I knew that he has a job. When I asked him more, why do you think you don't have a job? He said, no, I don't have a job because I can't meet my customer face to face. Simple as that. So this is the mind. There are several other examples where people who are very calm have been challenged because of not seeing this kind of you can call it mental pressure or whatever you can call it. So in such cases, the one strategy, or you can call it habit, and I like the word habit better, is meditation. So now whether organizations cultivate it or the sales owners themselves cultivate it, I leave it to them. But personally, it has helped me, and whenever I get a chance, I evangelize it. That of course, Vipassana is ultimate, but if going to 10 days of Vipassana retreat is difficult, then 20 minutes a day of any form of meditation can be a start. So that is on the EQ part. On the IQ part, in these current times, what I have noticed, you all would have noticed, there's digital distraction. There is so much content available. Now everybody is on LinkedIn. There is so many inbound requests which are coming to the customers through various digital channels. So digital distraction. So in such cases, what I call it is power of small. And my book is also about that. Small is big. So how can sales owners harness power of small? So example, suppose instead of sharing so many case studies, can you share one case study which is of most value and most relevance to the customer? Instead of creating action items, if you meet your boss and you tell him these are the 3 action items which will drive this sale. And there is one more thing which I call it as board deck, which can actually the best qualification matrix or structure, which is answering 3 questions for any client. Question number 1, why does this client need this solution? Question number 2, why does this client need this solution now? And question number 3, why does this client need this solution from my company? As simple as that. So I think the power of small in sales, it is time to harness it. So that would be my suggestions.
Thanks for bringing like a very different perspective of emotional intelligence and meditation to this question. And now I'd like to hear from Andy what he has to feel about this, the sales strategies and tactics that are working in these times.
Thank you, Suhasini. Well, I completely agree with Samir and Amit. And maybe what I'll do is just build on a few things that they have said with some examples, right? I think, as all of us know, sales is in large part access, relationships, and how you deliver value, right? To me, the last 2 years have become a big equalizer, especially for this audience. It is a big equalizer because, when it comes to challengers and leaders in the market who are trying to sell, all of us pretty much have the same access today, right? The big leaders are not able to dine and wine and meet your customers in gala events, at least for the last 2 years, right? So therefore, I think if you think about, and if you look at it from a client psychology as well, they too are missing those events actually. So pretty much they're also actually open to give you time. And me personally, I have actually got more customer meetings, virtually, obviously, in the last 2 years than I would have got a 5-minute meeting in a coffee, or trying to shadow a CIO when he's taking a smoke break, right? So the reality is that it has equalized. You are getting time. However, like Amit said, I think just building on the EQ side, I think being empathetic has become far more significant, right? I can't emphasize enough on because socially and culturally, just think about it. Your clients are probably inviting you into their living rooms and dining rooms today when they're talking to you, right? And they probably have their kids and pets around them. So ability to understand that and empathize and be prepared for some of those conversations is very important. Okay. The next one and the last one I'll talk about is, again, Amit talked about the power of small, right? What I'm seeing with a lot of organizations is they're actually investing in storytellers. There are storytelling within organizations. You have storytelling units that have been formed, which are helping you to tell or give your message out and get it to your customers. Because guess what? A lot of the pitches are virtual, right? Think of it a little bit like advertising internally. You have think about how you're able to send your message across in a 2 minute or 60 seconds or 180 seconds, right? And these are organizations which are internally being formed to help you, give the message and be able to make the most of it. So these would be the 2 or 3 things that I would bring across.
Thanks for that, Andy. Yeah, we covered a lot of ground with that, what's working in these turbulent times in sales. And with that, let's broaden our discussion to, my own passion as well as profession, which is marketing. So how does marketing need to innovate to enable sales in these, times of uncertainty? And this time, I think I'll invite Amit to go first. So Amit, if you could share your ideas.
Absolutely. So I think as far as marketing goes, if we just break them, there are key areas. One is lead generation, another is pitch from my perspective. And the word innovation is overrated for me personally. It is overrated. I think it is about the word adoption. There are a lot of things which are already there. First, let us adopt it. So in a marketing context and sales, one of the things which is very common and which can help sales team is the pipeline. So if you really look at it, whether it is 3x, 4x, 5x, I have seen in many organizations that disconnect between, okay, what is the quality of pipeline and the quantity of pipeline which is required. And especially in startups, the companies where the demand generation requires much more focus because brand is lesser. So I think that coherence between the sales and marketing team, and more on marketing team, where that is decided upfront, whatever is that number or that funnel, 3x, 4x, 5x, that is agreed, and then ownership is taken. I think lot of the confusion which happens will be decreased. So that is one. The second is on the pitch part. So pitch, remember we were talking about power of small. I think the marketing is a great function to enable that. So if a marketer thinks that my sales team is meeting somebody for elevator pitches, again overrated, 1 minute. Apart from that, if they say, if the person is meeting, my sales owner is meeting for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, what shall I give you? And I call them Astra Shastra. What shall I give the sales owners so that they mesmerize the audience? Or it could be other way around. If I am a customer, marketer is asking, if I am a customer and I present the content which I have created to myself, or somebody else present my content to myself, will I be mesmerized? Will I cut the check? I think that piece, using power of small from both customer perspective and sales owner's perspective, and using compelling content for pitch, I think those are the 2 things, pipeline and compelling content in short time, is what sales marketing can help sales.
Very, very true. Very true. Andy, would you like to share what marketing can do to help to enable sales?
Yeah, sure. Look, today, to me, the last 2 years have taught us that marketing and sales are highly intertwined, right? Especially in digital selling. So it's hard to tell whether it's marketing or it's actually selling. So I think Amit brought out very importantly the aspect of content and content delivery. I'll just go back to the point I was making earlier on storytelling, and today I think there are some specialists who are getting involved to be able to pass that message on to our clients. And I know that personally, I have been working with ex-journalists, ex-script writers, etc., who are actually helping me to build that content. Now, the medium in which the content will be delivered to the client or the prospects could be through the marketing channel. But marketing is the channel which is delivering a lot of that content, but the content building is becoming a lot more critical, especially in these times, right? The second aspect I'll bring out is, look, there's been a lot of digital marketing around, right? But I think we have to be a little bit careful about, especially in some of the global markets. I think there's a lot of regulation that is coming in terms of what is allowed, what is not allowed, GDPR, the whole discussion around the cookies, etc., etc. So I think we will see some sort of a disruption possibly in the digital marketing channels as well, right? So therefore it becomes even more critical for sales and marketing organizations to come closer together and work together and not be independent. Hey, you know what? I found X amount of leads and here it is for you, right? Now, whether you pick it up or don't pick it up, it depends on you, right? So I think there's a lot of disruption that is going to happen in this space.
Sure, that's also very true, and we're seeing that everywhere. Samir, could you share your ideas on what marketing needs to do to innovate and support sales at this time?
Yeah, so marketing, it is sort of now going hand in hand. Fully agree with my co-panelists. It cannot be defined separately, but the way we're seeing the transformation, I think, as always, right? Jo dikhta hai wo bikhta hai. So just to summarize that, visibility plays a significant role. We'll have to, now that we are kind of constrained by by not being able to go to the events in person, where we used to have those networking opportunities and creating a brand for ourselves. I think increasingly being seen as a thought leader in respective areas. And again, one has to define, what do I stand for? What does my company stand for? What are my specific, areas that I want to focus on? And go with a razor sharp focus. I think that's the key, because as we all agree, there's a whole lot of content out there. And I think that's where we need to take the help of experts. I'm sure, I think in past, Suhasini, we had some conversation, and there are likewise, we are having conversation with a lot of the experts. It's important to be seen by likes of advisors, the analysts in this whole journey, to be able to actually create a visibility for ourselves. I think what's changing now, we all know, is that marketing is actually reaching first than the sales executives. It's reaching the audience much faster. So we have to be very cautiously defining those messages and disrupting every single day. I think that's the key.
Hey, thanks, Samir, for saying we need marketing experts. It's just the kind of thing I wanted to hear. So, with that, I'm now going to go for a rapid fire question and ask each of you, what is the one golden rule for sales and marketing in the future? So let's go with, I think, Andy first.
Empathy.
Empathy, okay. Would you like to elaborate a little?
Yeah, I think I talked about it a little bit earlier, but essentially, you have to understand your customer, do your research to be able to make an impact, right? I mean, that is not going away. Doesn't matter whether it's pandemic or not. No pandemic. It's probably accelerated a little bit more, but understanding who you're selling to is super critical, and understanding the context in which you're selling as well is super critical. So I think that empathy quotient is the most important thing that we'll have to keep in mind.
Very true, and that's timeless actually, whether, as you said, whatever happens, that doesn't go away. Samir, what would you like to say is the one golden rule for selling in the future?
Yeah, interesting. So, this time has taught us very clearly that turbulent or non-turbulent organizations, whether it's a startup, it's a mid-sized company or a large enterprise, will have to inculcate actually a culture, where every function starts to sell. When I say every function starts to sell, they have to really, go with the philosophy that I'm able to embrace change. I'm able to bring in the cultural, understanding, like Andy said, empathy, for example. And I'm the one who's there to continuously evolve. Innovation could be in the sales process. Innovation could be in the whole lot of offerings. The way I am solving your business problems, Mr. Customer. I think these are, sort of the sustainable golden rules, I would say. But obviously there are more, and as always, not one size fits all. So yeah.
Thanks, Samir. And Amit, what would you like to say as your golden rule for the future?
For me, it was in the past also. Now it will remain in present, of course, and in future, which is number one skill in sales is marketing. If we divide that further, if the product is less complex, then anyhow it is digitally led. So therefore marketing led. But if it is complex B2B sales product, in that case, remember we talked about lead generation and pitch. If these two are sorted, then sales is also sorted. So number one skill in sales is marketing.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much to all the panelists. We covered, such a wide variety of smart things to take up now when the world has changed in so many ways. And we discussed not just hardcore business strategies and focus areas, but emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, meditation, and storytelling. And I think there was so much that our audience can kind of take and run with, that this has been just a very, very enriching and enlightening discussion. So I'd like to thank the panelists once again, Samir, Andy, Amit, and I'd like to thank NASSCOM for giving us this forum and this platform to exchange these ideas. And thanks everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.